koutou, ko pokiwiwi te maunga, te runei taku nākou, ko wairaki te awa e mahia nei ahu, māharahara, no Puketāpapa aho, ngā mihi ki te mana whenua o Tāmaki Makaurau, and ngā mihi ki te kawarau amaki, thank you Tyler, hea mana o te Manukau Harbour Forum, ko Jon Turner aho. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora everyone, and thanks so much for coming out today along to the symposium. First one of these that we've managed to have in a long time, and it's really awesome to see everyone here today. We've got lots of really big hitters in the environmental space and governance, but we've also got our awesome rangatahi who I'm going to speak a little bit about in the future. So I want to talk a bit today about the Manukau Harbour, about the forum, some of the mahi that we have done, some of the challenges that the Manukau Harbour faces, and some of the solutions that we can work together to bring. So let's just see. All right, so I'd hope that I'll be able to read that screen, but I can't quite see it from here. So I'm going to have it on my phone. But this is the Y8 Treaty Tribunal report. This is one of the first Waitangi Tribunal reports. And I really, really encourage everyone that is living around the harbour, working in the harbour, involved in the harbour, to read this report. It's a harrowing read, right? It talks about, you know, the immense land loss, the loss for mana whenua around the harbour, but not just that, it talks about the loss that all of us will experience of what has been lost in the harbour. You know, it talks about the extensive kaimoana that was there. It talks about, you know, beautiful white sand and crystal clear waters that got silted up. And the harbour board at the time, you know, oh no, there's no sedimentation. Well, we're going to hear quite a bit about sedimentation as we go through the rest of today. And you know, there's so much stuff that is captured in this report, and it really highlights why it is really important that we are working with mana whenua in this space. I'll be speaking to a bit more later on around where the council has got to around governance around the harbour, but just really, really encourage people to read this report. It's emotional, and you know, I have to you know, have a lot of awhi and tautoko for the whānau that, you know, read this, and it's the direct tupuna. So just like to mihi to everyone here today that are descendants of the claimants in this, but also acknowledge mana whenua who may not have been captured in this report, but have such a role to play. Okay. So what is the Manukau Harbour Forum? It was formed in 2012. Mandy kind of stole my thunder here, but it's the 9 local boards that surround the harbour, so it goes from Franklin down in the south right through to Waitakere Ranges. It's funded just by the local board, so each local board puts in around $9,000 a year. There's no funding from the governing body, there's no funding from the Crown, and we managed to do a lot of work with that money. We're not a decision-making body. And this is the thing that really annoys people, annoys me. We aren't able to make those decisions that are needed to be taken for the betterment of the harbour. And so some of the stuff I'll talk to later will be about why we need to fix that. But what we are is advocacy body, and we do manage to get some really good things happening through that advocacy, to the governing body, to Auckland Transport, to the harbour master. But there really needs to be that stronger body for the harbour. And we meet bi-monthly. We have a workshop and a business meeting which are open to the public and welcome people to come, and especially to present to the forum. We have really, really good presentations. I know that Coast Guard are here today. We have Paul Arthur from Crest. We have Bird Care come. Some of the public presentations we get are fantastic. Jim from Manukau Harbour Restoration Society has come. And you know, there's some really, really interesting things that the public bring, and then that all gets put online so people are able to access that as well. So this is from the terms of reference when the forum was first formed, acknowledging that it's a regional taonga for all the people of Auckland, and that's why that local boards collectively contribute to strategies and outcomes that restore and enhance the well-being of the harbour itself. So a really lofty document, this one. It had some really you know, exciting vision and exciting objectives, but you know, council moves very slowly, but it was one of the good things about the super city, and some people don't think there's anything, but one of the really good things about the super city is that this is the first time that there was a regional, one unitary council around the harbour. When you read that treaty report, there's about 15 different councils that are listed: Roskill Borough Council, the Harbour Board, this one, that one, all wanting to have their say and not necessarily want to work with each other. So one of the great things about Auckland as a super city is the ability to work together for the harbour, and hopefully we can start to do a whole lot more of that, a whole lot better. So I'm going to go through a really quick history of some of the actions the forum's managed to achieve in its time. So in 2012 it was formed. In 2013 there was the vision document. In 2014 we had our first formal hui with mana whenua. I wasn't around then. I think I was working in the kitchen at the time. But when you read through those documents, there is that real acknowledgement for mana whenua that this is important mahi, but it's without that decision making, there isn't necessarily the resource to be able to support that. And we then, sorry, it's quite hard to read. I think it says 2015 was the first Manukau Harbour Forum local board funded work program, which had some small actions, including the flagship sites program. So this flagship sites program was working with places like Auckland Airport, and it was going around to these places that have quite a big impact on the harbour and looking at what environmental actions they're taking, what environmental actions council can support them with, and the Auckland Airport actually produced a really good report on what they are doing for the environment around there. And interestingly, I was talking with Hamish, who's up here, and he was talking about around that airport is actually some of the best benthic species habitat, and I never knew what benthic species are until I started on the forum, but you learn a lot on this, and so basically it's the little creatures that live in the mud. So lots of really good stuff came out of the flagship sites program, and then in 2016 was the first one of these symposiums, and there was also 2016 was when Waikōwhai began the hydrodynamic model. We just got the hydrodynamic model presented to us this year, so just showing you how slowly council can move and Waikōwhai can move 9 years later. I hope that Waikōwhai is going to speak to it a little bit. There's some difficulties getting public access to that model, but that hydrodynamic model models the way that the whole harbour works, and when you see it, it is a really impressive thing, and hopefully we're able to convince Waikōwhai to let more of the public actually have access to that hydrodynamic model. The next bit we have was we funded sedimentation control research. So this is around building sites largely, and that has led to a thing that's called Close the Gap program that Auckland Council has, and it's all around building sites should be having way better sedimentation control, especially when they are around waterways and leading into the harbour. Obviously we're seeing lots and lots of building, especially in the southern side of the Manukau at the moment, lots of subdivision, and that's why it's really important that we are doing this kind of work around the sedimentation control. We also had the industry pollution prevention partnerships, which lots of local boards have now taken on. And what that is, it funds staff to go out and they work with companies who, they might have a stormwater drain and they store the oil next to it and they've never really thought about it. Staff just go out, they're not saying, hey, we're going to punish you. It's just saying, here's an issue. And then most people are really, really happy to learn about that. A lot of people have no idea that that stormwater drain leads into the ocean, right? So it's an education thing first. Ooh, just thinking myself. Then we had our next Harbour Symposium, and that was the next year, 2018, was when the Youth Sustainability Leadership Wānanga began, which is now called REAL. We've got some of them here. It's an awesome program. I'm going to talk really briefly to it, but they're going to be speaking about themselves. We had another symposium. We had the governance review report. So this was something that the forum funded, acknowledging that the forum was not able to, fulfill those lofty goals that they'd set for themselves. And I'm going to speak more in depth to this report, but you might have remembered there was a newspaper article that came out which said something like, forum failing to do its job. And that has led to lots of really good stuff coming out of that. We started funding a coordinator in 2019, and now we have an awesome coordinator, Sophia. So Sophia's been really instrumental in helping with today and doing lots of other good stuff. I'm going to speak a bit more about what she does as well. But that was the first time we had a paid staffer who was focused on the Manukau Harbour. So what was that? That's 9 years after the Super City Council came into being, and that's how long it took to get a part-time worker doing that. 2020, we went to the Environment Climate Change Committee. That's where that report was taken to them, and I'm going to speak more to that soon. We had a State of Environment report. We did a great tour out on the harbour. We went on this cool little boat. We went from Awhitu over to Cornwallis. We launched from Jim Jackson's wharf. It was a great day out on the harbour, although we couldn't hear a lot of the speakers because the boat was so loud, but it was awesome. We had some really, really good people speaking. Then we updated our terms of reference. We've started funding restoration projects and cleanups. So some of our money is going towards buying trees and things like that and planting them along the waterway. And in 2024, we started the community wānanga, which I'm going to speak to a little bit more as well. So the Youth Sustainability Leadership wānanga, which is now called Rangatahi Environmental Action Leaders, it's rangatahi who are from schools around the harbour within the 9 local boards. There are some students who come from outside the Manukau Harbour catchment as well, and they do awesome work and get to learn all about our fantastic harbour. It's run with sustainable schools and also tangata whenua from Makaurau marae, and it's a 3-year program where students come in and learn lots of really cool environmental stuff. They're going to be speaking after me, so I'm going to let them speak because they're better than me. But this was just in 2021, really briefly. So it's at Ambury Park. They went up Mangere Maunga. They got to do lots of really cool stuff. And we get presentations from them once a year. And we had Papa Toi Toi, Highschool came, and they just have done this awesome job along the awa that runs in their backyard. And we also, or the back of their school, and that they brought eel back into it, which is amazing. And we had De La Salle come as well, and they have a really cool little stream project that they do. There's lots of really exciting things happening. It's really cool to see these leaders take it on. They go back to school and they just get heaps of younger kids involved in doing environmental action in their school. So this was the governance review we funded. It was the Bradley report, and the key finding was that the forum is failing to achieve its vision, but it acknowledged that it's really important we keep the forum, but what it needs is actually the governing body to commit to working with mana whenua to funding properly the harbour so that we're able to achieve the goals that we set and that council speaks about as well. It talks about we're the only harbour-related entity in Auckland that didn't have a paid staff role. Wasn't much allocation of staff time within council. So all of this was, came out of it in 2019, and then in 2020 we went to the Environment and Climate Change Committee. I'd only just become the chair and I spoke to this thing and I probably went a little bit overboard, but that's all right. And Phil Goff at the time and all of the councillors unanimously agreed to work with mana whenua to set up a governance group for the harbour, and also coming out of this was a whole lot of funding towards the Natural Environment Strategy team, who's speaking later and have done some awesome work around the harbour. And one of the things that first came out of it was the synthesis of state of the environment monitoring in the Manukau Harbour. So this captures state of the environment monitoring from 1969, which is when we first started taking some things, I can't quite remember what it is, right through to today. And it talks about what the state of the environment of the harbour is. And so I just took some of the initial extract out. So less than 1/10 of the original forest extent was there. The air quality is good, but stream ecosystems have poor water quality, limited habitat structure and altered flow. Coastal water quality, Manukau has lower water quality than other harbours in Tāmaki Makaurau, but there has been an improvement in that coastal water quality following the upgrade to the treatment plant. Again, sedimentation comes up, negative ecological impacts, but within the body of the harbour, sites are becoming healthier. And we're seeing it at the moment. If you're ever down in Waikōwhai, you can look out and see the seagrass bed. That wasn't there 5 years ago. So there is this, restoration of habitat, which is going to be good for our kaimoana, it's good for water quality, it's a good indicator. So there are good things happening. It's not all depressing. This is the most recent environmental assessment. It's just come out. There's about 30 printed copies at the front. Feel free to pick them up and have a read. And I know that Dave and Georgia, who have done so much work on this, honestly so much work on this, it's like a really, really great piece of work. And what this does is it's going to lead into some goal setting. But kind of some of the highlights is that, some Marine and coastal habitats are in good health, while others are not. That it's an internationally significant bird habitat, and we have bird care talking today about some of the amazing birds we have, and I encourage anyone who hasn't to go along the water care walkway along from Ambury and look at all the amazing manu that we have there. Most beaches are considered safe for swimming, and that's a big change from even 10 years ago, and a whole lot of that has come out of the Safe Swim program. There's a saying which is you value what you measure, and by actually measuring swimming, ability to swim within beaches, we said, hey, Langholm, that was unswimmable, and now that is swimmable, and it came about because they identified that there was a regular issue and found what the issue was, a lack of separated pipes. At the moment they're doing it in Linfield Cove as well, and there's a few other places as well where we're doing it. So some really good work is happening within the harbour, but there's also lots of problems. So I did have it there. Anyway, sorry, you should have been able to read that the whole time. I was reading it. So this is one of the issues that we have. We have developers who treat the harbour and the land around it as if it is a wasteland. So this is along the Waikaraka Cycleway. This is reclaimed land. So we reclaimed land from the harbour and turned it into rubbish dumps. And this developer was doing illegal land works, pushed all of this, there's plastic, there's all this kind of stuff within that dirt. That was just going straight into the harbour. They cut down a whole lot of native trees. They re-diverted a creek, and that's still going through the Environment Court. But the contractor was fined, and now the developer is as well. But when you look at the level of that fine, $80,000. For what they're getting out of that land is now worth much more. So there's this real imbalance between what people are doing and what they're facing. Same with this. This was in the Otawarangi Creek chemical spill back in 2021. Thousands or hundreds of eels found dead. The whānau out at Makoto saw that and were dealing with it, and I think they ended up getting a $100,000 fine, which is about the highest they can get. It's not enough for the damage that they're doing, that is being caused to the harbour and to the people that live around it. Comes to rubbish, we went out with sea cleaners last Friday. I think we got about 8,000 litres, something like that, of rubbish. That took us about an hour. That was just going along the causeway. Down the bottom left, that was a couple of years ago, I went out with sea cleaners, got to go on a hovercraft, which was pretty cool. All those tyres just came from an old seawall that had been built, and they just spread all the way along from Clark's Beach down Waikōwhai. And so, they've been there for 50 years or something like that, and so rubbish is a big issue in the harbour. Those two vehicles, the bottom right one is the Jeep, so someone drove out into Waikōwhai. They just got the road reopened after 3 years of closure and got stuck in the mud. The ute up the top was down in Linfield Cove, and both of those, there isn't a system within council to ring up and say, hey, someone's got their car stuck in the mud. You ring them up, they go, oh, that's not our thing to deal with. It gets passed through multiple agencies. Eventually someone takes it on because they get badgered enough by an elected member to deal with it, but the people whose car that is are not also, they don't have to pay the costs that it takes to get that out. The one up the top was kind of funny because they went out with another car and then that got stuck as well, but they were both there for a week, so that's just caused damage to the environment, right? The petrol's there, the battery, all those kind of things. So yeah, it's that lack of care which some people still don't have for the harbour, and some of that comes from that kind of lack of understanding of how much of a beautiful place the harbour is. The place it plays in our ecosystem is Tāmaki Makaurau. Some other quick issues: the harbour master, he's based in the Waitemata. They don't have a boat on the Manukau, so they're not out there regularly. So it takes people like Jim emailing me saying the light's out in the channel. It's been out for about 2 months. I send it to them, it comes back, it goes back and forth. There aren't people out on the harbour from council who are, keeping an eye on it and looking after things. Onehunga Port, council own it. We've seen all the different mock-ups of what could be there, but what are we, 10 years later, there's nothing, and they just went out for a resource consent. Didn't consult with the forum, didn't consult with local boards, very limited consultation with mana whenua. It looks like they sent an email out, and this is a 35-year consent which doesn't allow for more public access. So it's only because the members of the public reached out to elected members that we even knew that this was happening. Sediment, talked about it before, and pest threats. At the moment we don't have kalupa, great. That could happen very easily, right? All it takes is someone to bring a net over from the other side or something like that, bring a boat over, and that could come into our harbour. So that's the depressing stuff. The harbour's a beautiful place to be, right? It's we wake up in the morning, go for a run down along Mangere Bridge. It's beautiful. Days like this when it's super calm, it's super quiet. You're able to see birds. You can go for swims. You can go out fishing. I don't know if anyone's in the Manukau Harbour fishing Facebook page, but what people are catching is actually really, really awesome. But let's not tell too many people about it. And the other really good thing about the harbour is the community around it. So the people that are around it and that are doing things, people like yourself who have taken out a Saturday on a long weekend to come along and hear about this. And one of the really cool things that we funded last year, and that Sophia did amazing work on, is the community wānanga. So this was, there was 4 of them held in West and the southern boards and the central local areas. Lots of people from the community coming together to talk about their visions, their aspirations for the harbour, their problems with the harbour as well. And I managed to get along to 2 of them, and it was really cool to see people who aren't necessarily involved in official organisations but hold a real affinity for the harbour and again took time out of their day to come along to these. So out of that, there came 5 aspirations for the harbour. This is from the public. So this was to revitalise the harbour's health, increasing cultural and ecological stewardship, having stronger community and political advocacy, sustainable economic integration, and active and ongoing engagement. And so all of those have fed into some of the work that Council's doing around better objectives for the harbour. And that one around sustainable economic integration is really interesting to me because we have the ability, tourism could be such a strong thing around the harbour, and out at Ihumātao, highly recommend there's a hikoi you can do, and things like that, which there used to be this proposal where that was going to be the gateway to Tāmaki Makaurau before we became the super city, and that's all gone somewhere. There's the real potential for us to see the harbour as a much more of a focus for Tāmaki. The other bit that came out of it was the focus areas that members of the public would like to see, and environmental restoration came out top. So we'd like to see that large-scale restoration efforts, and we're going to hear about some of that today as well. Johnny Freeland's here to talk about Puhanuiawa and other things. We want to see more community engagement and education, so going into local kuta and talking about the harbour and actually getting people out on the harbour and around the harbour is really important. It's not just a place to drive past. It's definitely not a place to just go dump your rubbish. It's an amazing spot. We want to see better cultural leadership and governance, so that's making sure mana whenua have that central role in governance. Better infrastructure and resilience, so climate change has happened, it's happening. So in Roscoe over Easter we got hit with another 2 in 100 year flood. That was the second one in 3 years. So things are changing, our infrastructure is not keeping up with it, and we're seeing that right around the harbour as well. And we'd like to see much stronger advocacy and regulation, so making sure we actually are able to protect the environment. They're actually able to enforce when people do things like massively dig up an old landfill, that we're actually able to prosecute them in a way that actually has a tangible effect. And the next thing for Council is the Natural Environment Strategy team. They're working hard on a proposal for a Manukau Harbour's leaders group that's made up of both mana whenua and elected members, which would actually be able to put into place a lot of the things that we need to be doing to protect the harbour, to enhance it. It needs that governing body funding, it needs that decision making at the level of councillors, mayor and things like that. And I was going to hold the report, but anyway, there's out there. there's going to be the moving into SMART objectives, and I wrote them out because people always say SMART objective and I had no idea what it really meant. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So it's setting goals that we can actually do. Really quickly, here's our current forum members. We have quite a few of them here today. So stand up if you're a current Manukau Harbour Forum member. There we go. All right, so we have Reese, Chair Reese from Tāmaki Makaurau. We have Chair Kay Thomas from the Faux Local Board, Deputy Chair Ellen from Franklin, and we've got Jan from Papakuta. So later on today, go have a chat to them, chat to me as well. These people are doing like really, really good work both for their community and here. We also have Walter from Mangere, Liz is from Waitakere Rangers, and Mark is here as well, so shout out to Mark. Who have I missed? Oh, Joseph Allen from Manurewa, and Maria Meredith from Maungakiki Tāmaki. So we have these people, we represent the, I think I've got a next slide. We represent the 370,000 people that live within the Manukau Harbour catchment. That's a huge amount of people, and all of our local board members, we have chairs, we have deputy chairs. It shows that the local boards are committed to making the Manukau Harbour a better place, but we need the support of people like yourself and people like the governing body. I'm getting the ding ding. I'm just going to leave this up here. It's a really nice graphic that captures the harbour, but the really important thing I just want to say is that working together we can make sure that the harbour is the place that we know that it should be. So kia ora.